Recording in progress.
Madam Chair, we're ready when you're ready.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Sandy City Council meeting for today, Tuesday, February 24th. We are lucky enough to be joined tonight by Scout Troop 5202. So thanks to Scott Tasker as the troop leader and all of the boys for joining us today. And we've given you special tasks to perform in our city council meeting tonight. We appreciate your taking that on, and we appreciate your being here. Let's go ahead and go into our normal procedures, and that starts with a prayer. And I understand that Andy is going to be leading us in a prayer. Would Andy like to come down to the podium? And Andy, just come down to the podium, pull one of those microphones close to you, and lead us in prayer, and we will appreciate you doing that for us tonight.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, and please bless that we can have safety here, and please bless that the mayor can, and please bless that the city council, and please bless the city council, and please bless that we can make good decisions for our community, and thank you for everything we have in the name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Andy. That was Andy Denzer, you guys. And Strider is going to join us in the presentation of the colors. And you will lead us also in the Pledge of Allegiance. So you ready to do that for us? Come on down and lead us in the pledge.
Color guard, attention. Audience, please rise. Scout salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, halt. Please recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, post the flag of the United States of America. Color guard, post the flag of the great University of Utah. Color guard, honor the colors. Audience, please be seated.
Strider. These are Sandy pins. We can put them to the channel, the guys, and if you need more, just let us know. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Troop 5202, and they're going to stick with us, guys, so we're going to have them throughout our meeting. All right, let's do introductions. Mr. Fratto, would you like to start?
Of course. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Dustin Fratto. I'm with the City Council office. There are a couple other council staff members in the back of the room, Justin Sorensen and Liz Terrio.
I'm Tracy. I'm counsel for the council.
Chris Edwards with the council office.
Chris Nichols, Sandy City Council, District 3.
Cindy Sharkey, at large.
Brooke D'Souza, at large.
Aaron DeKaiser, at large.
And online, would you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves, please?
Brooke Christensen, District 1.
Allison Stroud, District 2.
Marcy Hausman, District 4.
I'm Mayor Monica Zoltansky.
I'm Shane Pace, City Administrator.
Jeff Robinson, sitting in for Lynn Pace.
All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. We have a fairly short agenda tonight. 2 information items, a consent item, and then as usual, we will take general citizen comment at or as close to 6 p.m. as we can fit it into our agenda. Our first item is an information item on the Sandy Amphitheater, and we are lucky enough to have birthday boy Merle Marsh doing our presentation. Happy birthday, Merle.
Thank you very much. I was kind of hoping there'd be donuts or cake or something, but I guess I had to bring that myself. Is that how that goes? Okay, I'll remember that next time. Hey, thank you for having us here. It's actually been a while since we've been able to present. We normally do it every year, but we actually didn't get to do it last year. So this is kind of a wrap up of 2024 and 2025. And just as it shows on the screen there, we are very proud to say we are, 4-time winners of the Best of State Award, twice for the Best Entertainment Venue and twice for the Best Performance Venue in the public realm. So very excited about that. And proud of it. We've got a great team that does a lot of great work. I also want to make sure I introduce Nicole Atkinson, who's here with us. She is our venue manager and one of the great members of our team that helps make this all possible. So here's just a quick rundown of some of the numbers to give you an idea of where we're at. Our average attendance per show over the last 2 years has been 2355 out of a venue of 27.5. That's pretty darn good. We were happy to say that we sold out every in-house production, meaning that any show that we produced over the last 2 years, we sold them out every time. That's a good record for us. We're happy to be able to accomplish that. Our social media presence is climbing like crazy. We're around 34,000 followers right now. And we've got about 15,000 individuals on our email list. Now, to be on the email list, you have to say, I want to be on your email list, right? This is for the people that are looking for an opportunity to take advantage of the pre-sales. So 15,000 on this, and by the way, the Sandy Arts Guild has about 14,000 and some on theirs. So we have a lot of people that are following us very closely. Exciting too about the Google rating increase. Out of 5 stars, we went from 4.5 to 4.78. That's really climbing. We're working very hard to make sure that we're providing great experiences for people. And overall, the total number of reviews, not just 5-star reviews, but overall reviews has climbed. So we're proud of what we've been able to accomplish. A sample of some of the reviews that we get online. I love being that guy that reads for you, but just quickly, you can see that people have enjoyed it very, very much. From the sound to the staff to the experience they've had. I enjoy the reference here about the Sandy Amp services red carpet. And that's true. We work very, very hard. Every training session with the volunteers, when we have staff meetings, we talk about how do we make the experience better for the people that are coming to the amphitheater. So that's just a sample of some of the reviews we've received. Love to tell you what's coming. There are some things that are already on sale. I can run down them for you. Metric is on sale, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's on sale. You can also see the diverse programming that we're doing. The Dead South, which is sold out already, just unbelievably popular. We had them 2 years ago. Jimmy Eat World, which is a very big deal that we got that. That also is nearly sold. We're working very hard to see if we can get a second night out of them. The Brothers Osborne was just announced yesterday. Death Cab for Cutie, that's one of those that sold so fast that it was hard to have anything left for the public to go on sale because the artist sale was so big. I had people calling me that, one of those like, oh, didn't we go to high school together? Can you get me tickets? You know what I mean? So it's a challenge to do that. And so we worked really hard and managed to get a second night out of Death Cab for Cutie. And just to give you an idea how complicated that is, the problem was when they're traveling from like Denver to Utah and then to, the Bay Area or something as they're doing that, because of the tight turnaround, it required 2 overnight drives. So to be able to do a second night at Sandy, they're going to have to fly in extra drivers for the buses and the trucks to finish the tour out because they can't have the same drivers do those back-to-back drives. So it's a really big deal when they have to figure out how can we squeeze in a second night, but that gives you an idea of how excited people are that they're going to be here. I think that's also one that you might see on the secondary market, some ridiculously high-priced tickets. It's important to understand we don't control the secondary market. Utah is very strong about, hey, if you bought the ticket, it's your property and you want to sell it, you can sell it. So anyway, that's a challenge, but I will say there are many scalpers that when the second night got announced went, oh no, because now there were another 2,700 tickets available at face value. Anyway, so that's really good for Death Cab for Cutie, Ali Bryce, OAR, those have been announced. So it's still coming to be announced, Mount West Ballet. I think they're doing Capelia this year. We'll be in the snow sometimes in May. The High School Jazz Band Fest, the American West Symphony and Chorus, and Moving the Park, 3 of our free events we'll be doing at the amphitheater. We still have 11 dates that have been confirmed. We just can't announce them yet. When you have national tours like this, the artist is in control of when they announce that they're coming, and so I can't even go, oh, you know, he looks like or anything. We have to give that to them. And then we also have 12 other artists that have dates on hold that are looking to come, that haven't confirmed yet. We hope that they can get them here, and a few venue rentals also. So it's a big season. We're kind of excited about what's coming. Now, what are we trying to do to make it better at the amphitheater, right? One of the things we're working on now is the idea of premium experiences. This has been happening at many venues, not just the amphitheater, many places around, trying to find a way to say, how do we take what we have to offer and sweeten it? How do we make it even more? And so the goal we have here is to try to start working on some suites at the Sandy Amphitheater. The good news is where we're trying to put them right now does not involve removing any other seats. This is not reducing capacity in any way, any seats that already exist. This is moving in and around some spaces that we have available. The idea about what can come with some of the premium suites are things like premium access and parking, reserved parking, special entrances. Your tickets are reserved. Concessions and merchandise concierge, which is great, like in-seat service from the suites. And then a premium lounge will be part of, have a full-service bar as part of it. You may remember we just did some new expansions at the amphitheater, and we have that upper plaza level above the new concession space, and then there is an opportunity to put that lounge. And it is true it might be reserved for suites some of the time, but it might be open to everybody other times. It kind of depends upon what the demand and use on the suites is about. As far as the impact, like I say, we won't replace any existing inventory. There will be some additional staffing requirements, but fortunately none of those will be city staff. That's going to be the catering team and the merchandise team that work with us that are partners at the amphitheater. So our goal is to raise the venue's profile and to raise some additional revenue. Just quickly on the personal seat license, so it kind of understands what that is. That's kind of like being able to go, I want to buy first right of refusal on that chair. And then that means that you can buy the ticket in that chair. If you choose not to, then it's available to somebody else. But it gives you the first right of refusal to buy that ticket. So it's a way of reserving a specific seat. So again, it doesn't take anything out of the inventory, but makes it possible for people to go like, that's my favorite chair in row F, whatever it might be, right? Okay, so what is possible to do? Right now, what you can see here, this is an overhead of the amphitheater, and those areas that look like swimming pools, we think maybe putting a swimming pool, but the little blue areas there, that's where the current light poles are. There's those 2 giant light poles, I think you're familiar with them, that are right in the middle of the venue. That's there. And the plan right now is to just put seating in and around those light poles. In the past, they put some captain's chairs and some things like that there, but the goal here will be something much better, much more elevated, that will be in that space. And then that space behind can serve as kind of a extended area of that. That's available right now without us having to do any construction or anything. That's only furnishing it with the furniture that would be required to make that happen. As we move forward, hopefully by next season, the area in pink there is what is called the sound bunker. Now, we built this amphitheater long, long ago. In that box there, you had to have a lot of equipment and gear that was functioning for the building. But as times change and needs are different, right now that's basically an empty chamber inside there. And so if we take the roof off of it, we can do 2 levels of seating that can go in there and create suites in that space. Boy, dead center, prime. Those will be the first to go, I'm sure. But anyway, so that'll be a really fantastic facility in there. And then our other goal is eventually to take out the light poles. And if we take out the light poles and replace them with other needs, because the ability to find people that are willing to make that climb to do the spotlight work is becoming harder and harder. So in a way, those poles just aren't functioning as they were originally designed to. So there's better use of that space. So if we take out those light poles, then you can flesh that out more. And the blue space behind it that you see there, you can actually put tiered levels in there that will provide other seating and additional suites in that space. So how are we going to do it? The good news is we don't have to do any money up front. Our programming partner, Post Fontaine, has offered to do the cost of the construction and the furnishing of the space, and then we will be able to work out over 5 to 10 years a payback on that will come from the revenue generated by the suites. So again, it won't come from our coffers, it'll come from the gross revenue that's generated by the suites. There'll be a portion of it that will go first there, and then we'll be able to reap some other benefits from that. So furnishings, construction costs, all covered by Post Fontaine. The gross revenues will help cover that investment. Any additional expenses from staff and materials will come out of that. And then there's a team that works with Post Fontaine that has done this at venues all across the country. They're actually like the premium experience team is kind of what they're called. So they will take a percentage of the first year, again, out of the gross, and then a much smaller percentage, and over time they will take no more percentage. But it's going to be their job to sell it. They're begging us to hurry and get going because they've got people going, I want in, right? So we're doing our best to get moving on that. So there is a team that will get some money out of that. And then what's left from that, the net revenue, will be divided based upon who produces the show. So these suites will be available for the shows that we produce also. So those 5 to 6 shows that we produce during the year, we will be able to keep 100% of the net revenue from that show when it's our turn, right? So that's a way that we're going to be able to generate additional revenue at the venue, be able to get more out of the venue and create a high-end experience at the amphitheater. So I'm not Britton Mahoney or Peach Pit, but you have a question for me here. Please, I'm happy to answer any questions you got, or if you got some from Nicole, she'll be happy to answer also.
Ms. Nickel.
So how many total suites are you thinking, and are they going to be phased?
To right now, to start with, because of construction, it'll be 2 suites with kind of an elevated experience behind that's available. Over time, we're hoping to have those 2 suites plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 others, so 7 with the bunkers, and then back behind 2 each, so 9 to 10. We will also work out either at the ADA seating that exists or a space just on the east side that they can have flat access to an ADA suite.
Okay, awesome. But we're just planning on 2 for this season, or?
We can do 2 now without having to do any major construction.
The light pole bases?
Correct.
And just do some roping around
they'll
stuff?
Put like a wood table sort of around the base, right, and turn it into a space.
Okay.
Now, if it turns out we can pull some miracle off, right, and get them out, but right now we're planning on just those around the pole.
Okay.
And then personal seat licenses. Admittedly, I think those will sell last. The suites are much more desirable, but we can also start the personal seat licenses right away because that also requires no construction.
So the private suites, or whatever they're called, they're going to be varying in size, like maybe from 8 to 15
Correct.
people or 16 people.
It might be 4 seats in one, 6 in another, yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Are there sponsorship opportunities to like name those suites maybe? Or?
Probably not naming them. You really have to be careful when you're in a concert venue because you rarely have named sponsors inside the venue because then it looks like the artist is supporting Sprite or whatever, right? So normally naming things happen outside the venue or the name of the whole venue. But just as an FYI, one of the companies that was looking about removing the poles, as soon as they knew what it was for, they said, we want to buy the suite.
Nice.
So he was ready to say, I'll take it right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I know that Red Butte has some opportunities like this, but it's not really infrastructure. They just rope off, they'll lay the white seats out, and you can sit there.
Yeah.
And those seem to sell out pretty good.
Yeah.
Does it take anything away from the amphitheater experience of just being, grass seating, that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think so. I think it elevates the experience, right? It's not in front of anybody going like, well, now I can't see because that guy's in the suite in front of me. Like I said, we're not reducing capacity at all. So the way we're working very hard to design it is it will just be an addition, not in any way subtracting from what we're trying to do.
And all the interior renovations were made, like green room, those things to bring us up to where artists want to come to the venue and that type of thing.
We have some more plans. There's never enough storage. Does anybody have enough storage in their world? I mean, there's never enough storage.
Never.
We have some more plans about what we want to try to do, but we're just doing it piecemeal as we can raise the revenue and do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Ms. D'Souza.
Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job, and I'm on the email list, and I see the social media, and I did miss the opportunity to purchase the first Death Cab for Cutie show, but I was excited when there was another show announced because I did get tickets to that one.
Hey.
And I'll be at Metric, so I'm excited.
Good,
My bank
you.
account maybe isn't as excited, but it's okay. But I have a question. A little while ago, we had talked about the need to maybe repaint the stripes for the stairs and the numbers because the paint was fading and it wasn't reflective, and it was hard for people to see in the later season shows because it gets darker earlier. And I'm just wondering if any of that is coming up, if we're able to consider that.
I believe so. I mean, we coordinate with facilities all the time, and so when those things get to that point, we try to bring them back up to spec. So we'll be working with facilities on that.
Okay, sounds good. That was my only question.
Thank you.
Good job. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just want to say I love this. There's no bigger fan than me of taking out the light poles. So that's super exciting.
Thanks, Aaron.
And I didn't know Councilmember D'Souza was so hip going to the Metric Show and Death Cab, which I thought you were going there, but I'm going to. I'm putting dibs on that ticket, just so you know if it's available, Chris. But I'm not too familiar with the history of the provider. If you work with Post Fontaine or the administration does, how that goes down. But I just want to say, as an avid concert goer, I actually returned from a festival this last weekend in Tempe, and I know that they are putting up some of the best acts around.
Yeah.
And so kudos to whoever's working with them. Great job contracting with such an amazing provider. They're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
And appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Ms. Hausman has a question.
Not exactly a question, Madam Chair, but thank you for the opportunity. Just adding on to what's already been shared. Thank you for this update. Thank you for the vision that you continue to bring, Merle. It's even though I know you said you've not been able to present to us, you pack such a punch when you do. I love when you come. I love what you share. I especially want to just acknowledge publicly some conversations you and I've had as a result of last season and just some feedback that was shared. You and I were able to visit. You really shared the depth of behind every key decision that's been made with the renovation, and just you've always been very responsive, and it's exciting to see you empowering people, and the fact that this kind of new addition is being done through a partnership effort. I'm just a big fan of collaboration and getting things done through partnerships. So thank you for your leadership, for your vision, for just always looking for the best programming, the best user experience, all of the above. Thank you for all you do. And for the team. Again, our volunteers are phenomenal, and none of this happens without them. So please pass that on to them as well.
We'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Merle, I just have a question about the contract with Post Fontaine.
Yes.
So what does this mean? If they are making an investment in infrastructure in our facility, and over time there's going to be a payback in terms of a revenue share with them, do we go out to RFP for this service? And is okay.
Right,
so
we're currently in the last RFP, and to do this with this expansion, we would recommend expanding the length of that contract that we have now. It's usually 5 years at a time, but we'll see if we can get it out, another to 8 or 10 years to work out the payback. And also because we're really starting to work so well together that if we can just keep building on the success,
it sounds
that's
like
really
it's
helpful.
been a good arrangement. I just wondered what did it mean? So we'll do an extension rather than another RFP. This is what you're
Correct.
foreseeing,
We're
right?
working on the deal points
Okay.
now to say, what does that mean, right? Because this is a big enough change, it would provide the opportunity to look at the contract again.
So that means the length of time that we'll have a partnership with them will go with this extension that you're talking about. How many more years with Post Fontaine before we go out to RFP?
I'd say potentially 10, but we're in the second year already, so 8 more. Do you know what I mean? Just because right now it's 5. But if we do a really short, extension, then the payback's bigger, right? What you're taking out of the gross revenue. Whereas if we can spread that out over a little bit more, and then it also helps us maximize the infrastructure changes that they're making, so they don't necessarily do all the investment and then see, you know what I mean? So we'd love to be able to let them help keep working in partnership with us to make those improvements.
And the contracts lock in the prices to the extent that even with a longer relationship with them, we won't be at a disadvantage.
No, in fact, we actually don't pay them any money for this partnership. We earn revenue with them on the partnership. The things that can change, for example, the rental fee for the venue, they pay that for each show that they produce. And over time, as we've been doing some work on that, that has changed. And so that becomes part of the contract. So if anything, the costs for them have increased over the time working with us.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any more questions, council? I don't see anything else.
May I just say quickly,
Yeah.
I know I'm being a bit of the brass section here, tooting our own horn, but really it's about staff. The team is so amazing. Nicole does great work as our venue manager, Kelly Molinari, our house manager, Elise George working on all the social media that you saw. It's a great team, and we're so grateful for the support we receive from you.
Since we're all customers as well, we know what you're talking about.
Right.
We see it ourselves, and
Great.
we thank you, Nicole, and thank you for being here too. And I must say, with Marcy, the volunteers.
Love
Do
them.
you ever have a shortage of volunteers there?
No,
ever?
in fact, that's the problem, is like how many want to volunteer. There's actually waiting lists.
Yeah. Thank you for all the work. We really appreciate it. And this presentation
Most welcome.
tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, next item on the agenda is council reviewing our draft city council budget priorities. And Mr. Fratto, you're going to present for us on this.
Yes, and in case I need to pull it up, I hope you guys don't mind if I just stay over here. Sorry for those of you who are online, but you'll just have to listen to me instead of see me, if that's okay, Madam Chair. I don't have a lot to present. We did our best as staff to take, Justin and I furiously took notes during the budget priorities workshop. We took photos of all the sticker exercises that were done, and then we came back and we sat down and put our heads together and came up with what we hope captures the conversation that you all had during the budget priorities workshop. So this is a draft. We provided you with a red line of last year's budget priorities so that you could kind of see what's changing. And then I also included a clean version so you can read through it and see exactly what we're actually proposing. Like last year, we separated it into 3 separate color-coded sections so that anyone who's reading it kind of has an understanding of what we mean by each section of each priority. And so really what we're looking for this evening is just your feedback. Did we get it right? Is there something that we missed? Is there something you'd like to remove, add, change? And we'd like that feedback tonight. And then once we have it, we'll go ahead and make those changes. We'll put this on a consent calendar next week or 2 weeks from now, or as soon as we can, with a resolution to get them adopted. When we bring it back, we'll also have a 1-pager, an infographic that we'll do our best to encompass what we've outlined in the actual priorities document, and that 1-pager will go inside of the budget document for the upcoming fiscal year. And so with that, I just turn it back over to you for any conversation, questions, or recommended changes.
So, council, any comments, changes, questions? Ms. Nickel.
I did notice one thing you guys didn't get in there. Dog park.
Okay.
I don't expect it to be in there, but
yes.
just saying, dog park.
I would be happy to put that in if the council wants it in there. I think it could fit somewhere. Just saying.
Thank you.
Any feedback for staff, guys? We're good? Ms. D'Souza, go ahead.
I was just going to verbally say I feel like this is representative of the conversation that we had, so.
Ms. Stroud, go ahead.
I was just, and I think I brought it up a little bit during the meeting, but got to pull it up, kind of switching back and forth between the screens. But looking at, the priority where we have the fiscal health component to it. No, and now it went away. Of course it did. But adding in where, and we combined the employee, let me pull it back up. Where we were at the employee satisfaction, and I thought that we would have a little more of a blended, with that fiscal health, primarily because 75 to 80% of our expenses are employee related, but I think, keeping in, competitive wages, including professional development, retention strategies. I thought that was going to be a little more in there, unless I'm missing that. But, I guess I'm hoping to have that put back in there, reinforcing with our employees that they are a priority of ours, and to make sure that they are well compensated, fairly compensated, and that we are invested in their professional development. I thought that was maybe a little bit of a discussion that we had, but maybe I'm wrong.
There's a phrase in there. Are you looking for more? See that phrase that says investing in our human capital is essential to long-term efficiency and stability? Were you looking for more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That I guess a little more, we elaborated a little bit more last year. And that's, it does a great job of kind of summing it up, but, we had a lot of discussion over the past couple of years of maintaining competitive wages, and I don't want that to be just assumed, with that language. I do want to make sure that we are, remaining cognizant of that.
Dustin, do you have any questions surrounding that?
We're happy to try to go back and I'm going to use a really technical word here, pump that up. To talk about employee satisfaction a little bit more, if that's what the council would like us to do.
Or maybe use something from last year if we've edited it out?
Yeah, my understanding from the conversation was, hey, let's try to kind of take that and spread it. And so there are a couple of statements throughout that mention personnel, right? And community safety, we also note that providing well-trained personnel is important. And so it was clear to me that the council felt that was still a priority, but didn't necessarily need to list it as its own priority, and we were supposed to try and find other places to locate it within the priorities that you did identify. So like I said, I'm happy to go back and add a little bit more onto that in fiscal health if you'd like me to. I've heard Councilmember Stroud's recommendations. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on if anything's missing there.
On that specific item, Dustin?
Sorry, Madam Chair. Yes, on that topic.
Looks like not. But we have a commitment to wordsmith a little bit, Ms. Stroud, so let's see what they come up with. Ms. Hausman.
Thank you. I don't have feedback specifically, especially in terms of like wordsmithing. I agree. I feel like it very much captures our discussion and really emphasizes perhaps what is uniquely our focus this year, which I think is something that's valuable. What I do have in the form of, I guess, an add to that, but I don't know if now's the right time, so I'll ask you, Mr. Fratto. I have thought through something I'd like to share tonight that I feel like actually is an initiative that hits across, like would advance 4 of these 5 priorities, and I'd like to just sort of share it as an example, like why does it help for us as a council to think through our budget priorities? It helps us to then also be thinking of initiatives that could potentially be funded or recommended for funding. And then as we receive the tentative budget, then of course, this becomes the lens through which we are evaluating budget requests that come to us. But I think there's also an opportunity as the budget authority to lead out on indicating some things that we are hoping to see inform the tentative budget. Again, it's not, it is the mayor's role to define the budget, but anytime we can signal some things that we are thinking of, I think it's helpful. And then we can obviously discuss that when we receive the budget and ultimately adopt the budget that we feel is best aligned to our priorities. So I don't know if it's appropriate to share an initiative I've been really thinking about working on for quite some time. I feel like it aligns beautifully. Or if tonight's goal is to just give you feedback on this document, and then when it comes back to us for, some type of formal adoption, to then also share an initiative that I feel like is a great example of alignment, initiatives that align to these priorities that we've indicated are ours, the voice of the council, so to speak. So that's more of the feedback I'm looking for as far as sharing an initiative.
I'm seeing this agenda item tonight as consolidation of this document that's going to be used for the budget rollout. Happy to hear your ideas, maybe when it comes back, giving some examples of how we want to see this sort of woven into the budget presentation. Might be a really good time to do that. So,
okay, sounds like a plan.
All right, any more input, council members, for Mr. Fratto and staff? I don't see any more. So we're gonna, am I right in assuming that Ms. Stroud and Ms. Christensen are gonna drop off at 6? Is that no?
I canceled conferences for
Oh.
parents until 6:30. So I'm here until
6:30, okay, all right. Well, I think you'll be able to last through the whole meeting if it keeps going this way. All right, thank you for doing that. All right, we do have a consent calendar item, and that's approval of the draft minutes from January 20th. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None. All right. Let's go ahead and do standing reports. Are you ready, Mr. Fratto, to start with standing reports on behalf of the council
Yep.
office?
Yeah, sure, Madam Chair. I'm going to skip the agenda planning calendar this week, though we will send that out on Friday. I just wanted to give you a really quick kind of update on the Public Utilities Management Study, just a really brief overview. So it's going really well by all accounts so far. I've spoken with Justin, who's leading out on this from our staff. He's working with Tom and his team, and I've heard nothing but positive feedback from everyone so far. Last week, Public Utilities was able to complete the data collection phase of the study, which was by all accounts, a really big lift. And Tom, thank you so much to your team for doing that, despite the fact that we're in the middle of working on budgets and everything. That was a big lift and a big milestone for the study, so we really appreciated that. And then currently, Matrix, who's our consultant, is working on kind of sorting through, analyzing that information. And then they've currently provided us with a set of comparison cities. They've done a whole analysis of the cities in the valley and outside of the valley, and which ones match up to us best. And they're currently speaking with Justin and the Public Utilities team to narrow down that list and come up with the right set of comparison cities for that comparative assessment. And so I'm going to try to give you this kind of update every couple of weeks moving forward, but that is kind of what's happened over the last few weeks. And with that, I'm going to end my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of updates. I attended the ambassadors meeting, and they got briefed on the city events that will be happening in 2026. Food truck night, movie in the park, farmers market, historic barbecue, 4th of July, movies in the park, balloon fest, 2 movies in the park, Healing Fields, Heritage Festival, and Light Up the Cairns are on the docket as of right now. And I also wanted to make sure that I got everything in here. I heard Zach when he told me that the committee wanted a little bit more meat with their council member reports, so I did create some documents. I think Katie's creating a time and space for both council and the ambassadors to speak freely. And that was that on that. Legislature is hot and heavy. I think that Cindy will update you on a couple. I'll take a couple of them myself. There are some land use ones. It looks like Senate Bill 284 and House Bill 477 may get merged at some point, but House Bill 77 is specific to land use and addresses planning commissioners. And we've really had a history of putting good planning commissioners who are specialized in the area of real estate and planning. And there have been some instances where planning commissioners have taken it amongst themselves to rally the public to come in and protest about a specific item. We can't have planning commissioners showing bias in any way, shape, or form. So I think that I think our planning commissioners probably need a retouch on training and know that they can't know what they legislate and what they don't. It's not the way they feel, it's what the code says and the interpretation of the code. So that's just something that I'm kind of worried about. So, and Cindy will probably update you on some others.
I know Ryan will have a full docket to report on. I do want to thank Ryan, Shane, ULCT. There was a call out from our legislators today, kind of in a panic, saying, "How do you feel about HB 501, and how would you like us to vote on this?" And so I thank everyone for speaking about it really quickly, getting together as quickly as possible, and getting that question answered. Did it ever get uncircled, Ryan, or did it? Okay, all right. All right, we'll find out more about that one. Ms. D'Souza, do you have anything? Nothing? Mr. DeKaiser, no trip reports or anything like that? All right. Do we have a mayor's report tonight? Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor, if you can hold on just a second, we'll get to Marcy. Thank you. Ms. Hausman, go ahead.
Before I saw Ms. Stroud's hand up before mine, so okay.
Well,
okay.
I missed both of them, so thank you.
I will be brief. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick thank you to Katie. She's been hard at work organizing the working group. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that. There will be a meeting tomorrow afternoon where we will receive an update on how we are continuing to assess the safety needs at the intersection by Alta High School. So I'm grateful for that. Also grateful for staff and Ben for organizing small group tours of the recreation center, getting an opportunity to visit the construction site. I've not yet, things have never quite aligned with my schedule to be able to do any of that, including visiting the new fire station. So I'm grateful to our department heads who continue to watch out for me and know that with my busy, complicated schedule, the tours or the visits that have been organized for others have not yet worked out, but they continue to reach out to me to try to make this work so that I can get a visit. So I'm looking forward to those upcoming visits at the fire station 31, and also the construction area for the rec center. It's an exciting time, and I look forward to those visits. So that's all I had, and I was not able to hold baby Jane during this meeting, but that's why I'm here virtually, is I'm in North Carolina visiting my son and his family, and baby Jane has been an absolute delight. So thank you for allowing me to join virtually tonight. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Stroud, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple things happened last week that I was able to attend. One of them was also not attending Alta Canyon with Marcy. We were doing that legislative update, so hopefully we've got that on the schedule and moving forward. Looking forward to that as well. CDBG, had their monthly meeting. The window was open and closed for applicants. The committee is now reviewing those applications. We'll be giving them a score and then moving forward. The federal government has not yet released the amount of funds that Sandy will receive, but hopefully it'll be somewhere in the ballpark that we got last year, which was an increase from the year before. We had, and I'm sure Madam Mayor will probably talk about this as well. A promotion within the police department. So we had Officer Bird, and he is now Sergeant Bird. I think we all are familiar with Ryan, and appreciate what he does, in communicating with the council and in the department. And then also Trevor Leslie, who has been with the animal control and been out on several ride-alongs with him, with our new director. So over animal services, that was a kind of an exciting swearing in or a promotion ceremony. Last night we had, I think it was brought up by Mr. Pace last week, the ICAC, so Internet Crimes Against Children. Quite a few people attended that and, had a presentation with the Attorney General's office with a lot of information, things that, I think can alert all of us within a community, to keep our eye out of what's online and what our kids are looking at. So, very successful presentation and, very much appreciated. I know that that's kind of a series of what they're looking at, last month, over in Historic Sandy. So, and now this, with this ICAC presentation. So, liking that push on community outreach. And that is all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Back to Madam Mayor for the Mayor's report.
Thanks. So it's been a busy week on the administrative side. I want to thank the Utah Attorney General's office for coming last night to present the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Presented a lot of valuable information about how to keep children safe and how to keep vulnerable people who are online safe from fraud. And I look forward to spreading that message and working with the Sandy Police Department to host more of those. It's such valuable information. The technology advances so quickly, and there's so much that parents and guardians need to know about how to keep young children safe from online predators. Sandy Senior Center is holding tax preparation assistance with AARP weekly. Every Friday, there's tax preparers there. It is by appointment, so please call the Senior Center. You'll receive a kit with instructions of all your documents to bring, but it's no cost tax preparation assistance. It's not income qualified, it's not age qualified, it's available to everyone. But of course, it's helpful to our seniors because they have real live people to help prepare the tax forms. They can't do complicated tax returns, but the standard 1040s, 1040 Easy forms. It is a great service through AARP and it's free of charge. So please call the Sandy Senior Center to set your appointment. Congratulations to our police promotion. Sergeant Ryan Bird promoted. He's not only an experienced police officer, but a longtime Sandy resident with expertise in firearms training and experience in both patrol and investigations. And our new Animal Services Director was sworn in last week, Trevor Leslie. He's also a Sandy native and has worked for the city since 2017 and earned many certifications on animal training through his work here at Animal Services. And then a big congratulations to our Sandy Police Explorers Post 9550 for taking first place at the 2026 National Competition, XCon, that is Explorers Convention, in Las Vegas, and they took first place in the Honor Guard competition. Was happy to attend their meeting with Councilmember Stroud last week and congratulate them, delivered some donuts and some praise, and would love for them to come to City Council so the council and the city could recognize their accomplishments. They've competed the last 3 years and this year brought home first place, so they've shown a lot of growth in their program and so much. The video their advisor showed, it's just something that the whole city should see and be proud of. So I'd love to have them come in to present their good work. Attended the meeting of the South Valley Interfaith Council this Borders meeting as many faiths prepare for Easter, for Lent, for Easter, Ramadan, Passover. This is a time when faith communities are very active in our city, and we're so fortunate to have so many communities of faith. And I did want to mention how troubled we were as elected officials about the news of the shooting last night in Sandy at 700 West and 9000 South. And I want to thank the council for joining in a statement asking our residents to please, if you have any information about the incident, contact the Sandy Police Department, 801-799-3000. The Sandy Police are actively investigating this and pursuing every lead, and we are especially concerned about the individual who is the victim of this, because he is the imam at the mosque in West Jordan, and we can't not recognize that this person at this time of year during Ramadan, there may be a connection there that our police are investigating that, and wherever the facts will take them. So want to reach out to all our residents to encourage anybody with information to please report it to the Sandy Police. Thank you.
Thank you. CIO report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few things. First of all, the health and safety fair for employees is tomorrow from 9 to 12 in the multipurpose room. So if you have a chance to come over, that'd be great. The employee luncheon at Willow Creek Country Club is March 18th from 11 to 2. Yeah, of course, that's always that's done completely by Willow Creek Country Club, and it's a gift by them to our employees. Lastly, over the last 40 years, Sandy has provided water to the unincorporated areas of the granted area. And during that time, we required annexation. Sometimes those requesting water couldn't annex because they weren't contiguous to the city. In each of those cases, as a requirement for the water, requested of them to sign a consent letter that they would annex in when they became contiguous. Well, we've had a number of annexations over the last 5 years, and so I asked the Public Utilities Department to do an audit of that, and we have at this point about 50 parcels that are now contiguous and can be annexed. We didn't see the need to do it initially until Monday, when we received a copy of the draft feasibility study for the incorporation of Granite. Surprisingly, that study came back positive for incorporation. We have an extensive amount of concerns about how that feasibility study was put together. But because of that, we feel the need at this point now to move forward on those annexations of those properties that signed consent forms to annex. And so tomorrow morning we'll request from the council chair to put it on the consent calendar, all the properties that we know have already signed letters of consent to annex. That will start the process for them. So once that starts, then we will of course notify them by letter. We'll also notify them by posting on their property of the potential annexation. We'll then notify them of the Planning Commission meeting and the City Council meeting where they can come and make comment on it. But it's important to move forward with these sooner than later, because there will be a point where they will be locked into that incorporation process, and we feel it's important to get, the only reason why we provided water in the county areas was because the intent that it would eventually annex into Sandy, and most of it has. And so from our perspective, it's important for us to move forward on those properties where they've signed the annexation petition before they get locked into that thing. And so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. We'll keep you updated as we go along. undoubtedly, once we start this process, you will get some phone calls from people that you know who live in those areas. We anticipate just, a spattering of reactions, and everyone from, I thought we were going to get annexed in anyway, so I'm not concerned, to others saying, I don't want to be annexed in, to others that, but we definitely have a legal right to do this and to move forward with these.
So just to be clear, we're going to be moving forward with properties that in the past already signed a consent to annex, and we were unable to annex them at that time.
Yes, that's correct, because
Okay.
they were not contiguous. Now they are contiguous.
So everything will play out in the normal fashion. It'll start with the typical intent to annex,
Yes.
and then move through the normal annexation process.
That's correct.
I know. Oh, was it? Okay. And as we start getting calls, I think I asked you this before, but I don't remember what the answer was. What will be the deadline on this if Granite chooses to incorporate? Because do they have to have a vote on this now? Is that the process?
So what will happen is that they will have a public hearing based on the draft. They will finalize that draft, and then they will hold a second public hearing to to lock the boundary and move forward with a future vote. It's when that second public hearing occurs and they take that formal action is when the boundaries are locked in.
And we don't know yet when that date is.
That day is not set, no.
Can we even anticipate? No?
Right now, they're in a 30-day period on the draft. After
Okay.
that period, then they have to schedule up that public hearing and then,
And then a second?
yeah.
Okay.
Have the boundaries been set? I mean, is there a map available?
Yes, there is in the feasibility study, and we will make sure that all the council gets a copy of that feasibility study.
Thank you.
We'll send it to Dustin tonight, and he'll get it out to all of you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam
All right.
Chair.
Thank you. Recreation Center update.
Hello. This last week we had a bunch of steel delivered to the site. So for several weeks now we've had several steel beams vertically in the ground, and now they are connecting those horizontally up high, which is really fun to see. Actually looks like it's going to be a building someday soon. Because they're up there with a very big crane swinging very big pieces of metal around. They did have a couple of weather delays last week with the wind and the snow, but nothing that should affect their schedule overall, so that's great. This week they did have to drain the swimming pool a little bit. There is some new connections, new lines that are going from the new mechanical room to the swimming pool, so just reconnecting those. They have to get the pool down to a specific level so that they're not connecting lines that have water running through them. And then they'll fill the pool back up with water when they're done. So the naming survey is out. We are getting several responses from that, so that's been great. We'll continue to keep that open until March 11th, so please feel free to keep sharing it. When people do share it, it goes out in newsletters or social media posts. That's when we see a little bit of an influx in responses. So. And then we are excited to have several of you up to the center in the next week or so. But as always, if there's a time, not a time that works with your schedule, Marcy specifically, like if Allison, if it doesn't work, just let us know. We're happy to arrange a time for any of you to come up really at any time. Just reach out to me or to Ben and we'll make it happen.
I just had a question, Jenny. Are you aware of the petition on change.org that's going around?
I am.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. Didn't make the list, but kudos to him.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Meekum, legislative report.
Thank you very much, and good evening. We're down to 2 weeks. So this week and next week, and just a special thank you to every single one of you, including those of you online. Everybody at this point has participated in either the Legislative Policy Committee or in our Thursday afternoon catch-up sessions. So just thank you for your interest and participation, feedback. Every time we've asked for something, it's been immediately responded to. So thank you very much. Also, a special thank you to Mayor. I know that Lynn's not here, but to Lynn and to Shane for also helping participate in this as well. So a number of updates. Did have a chance, Mayor and I did have a chance to talk with Senator Cullimore. He's our majority leader. We had a chance to update him on things that were going on in the city and talk about some of the things that he had helped us with in the past that he was not aware of. So, you know, the upgrades to Monroe, for example. So we had a great time kind of bringing him up to speed on different things that happened within the city. A really special thing to note in the sense that in the past, in my experience with Sandy, we've had 2 Senate presidents and a speaker. So, you know, Wayne Niederhauser, Al Mansell, and Greg Curtis have all been integral parts to what we do as a city. And so to have a majority leader represent a part of Sandy is very fortuitous for us. So it's been a good relationship. Okay, let's talk about some bills and some issues going on. Let's start with homelessness, and this is something that we haven't talked about a lot because a lot of moving pieces have been going on. But earlier this week, House Bill 596, which is called Homelessness Amendments. This is done by Representative Elison, who also represents Sandy. And there's a number of things in this bill. One of the items that is in the current version is it preempts land use on conditional use permits. Now, this does not particularly affect us because we're a non-congregate center, meaning that even if they did take away the limits on the conditional use, the number of people that can be there are no services to provide to those additional people, as opposed to, say, Salt Lake City or South Salt Lake or West Valley that are congregate centers, meaning that they can raise the number of people according to the fire code who can be there, and so that is in the bill. It's very concerning because it's basically the state saying that we are going to preempt the local land use for this purpose. Now, Representative Elison, to be fair, he is trying to accomplish a goal. He's trying to make it so that the existing infrastructure is big enough to be able to absorb any additional influx. And so I understand, you know, from a policy perspective, what he's trying to do. The way that he's going about it, I think, is considered concerning for cities. Another piece that's in there is called the annual local contribution. Now, this is what we've been dealing with for some time. Before we hosted the MVP Center here in Sandy, we used to also contribute to this local fund. We don't, since we've had that facility in our city, but basically what this would do is it would increase the limit. And so this would, for this next year, would increase about 15% for the purpose of being able to help West Valley City, who's had a facility that really has been used year-round, but they haven't been treated as such, meaning that they have not received enough money to offset the additional law enforcement and EMS services they've had to provide by hosting that in their city. So this additional money would help to compensate them. So right now, the way that it looks for us, at worst it's neutral. At best, there may be a little bit more money to offset some of our expenses for hosting, but it's to be determined. Now, the kicker in there is the next provision says that the following year in 2027, instead of going up 15%, it would go up closer to 50%. And the reason that's in there is to bring people to the table because different cities have different interests in this. And this is all about the local contribution. In other words, the state is not saying we're going to step in and provide additional funding, but if you need additional funding within that system, the cities have to get together and figure this out. And so if we don't figure something else out, then the existing provision of state law will be to increase that by, like I said, by about 50% of what it is today. So right now it's $275,000. That would increase to $500,000, or a percentage of budget, whichever one's higher. Okay, let's see. One piece of good news: we do have House Bill 457. This is a municipal annexation amendments. The bulk of the text doesn't really have anything to do with us, except for we were able to get an amendment in there that deals with some of our past annexations that we'll be able to, well, I should say past and future, because part of state law is there will be a number of islands that will be coming into Sandy. According to law that was passed about a year ago, we will be able to do that simpler now with this amendment. So it'll help us in that process. All right, Senate Bill 284. This is local land use modifications. This is a Senator Fillmore bill. Basically what it requires, this part we already do, it requires every city to post regulations or fees or land use applications on our website. And now that doesn't sound like a big deal, but in fact there are some municipalities in the state of Utah that don't have a website or that don't have an active website, and so this will be a bit of a lift for them. It deals a lot with Planning Commission. Councilmember Nickel was talking about this a minute ago. The Planning Commission, if it's not timely, then the legislative body can take the item from the Planning Commission, even if the Planning Commission hasn't made a decision about it. So it all has to do with timeliness. If they're simply not making a decision, the legislative body can go and do that, which it cannot right now. Then in the substitute that is coming up, then we can also remove a planning commissioner who's acting with the intent to influence a land use decision. So this was directly what Councilmember Nichols just talking about, that if a planning commissioner decides to take sides, and the case study that was presented is if the person gets residents to oppose something that's going on, that's not what a planning commissioner should be doing, since they're acting in really kind of a quasi-judicial role. All right, one thing that we're very excited about that the League has been working with developers and others is House Bill 492. This is about transportation, infrastructure, and housing. One of the big things that's held back a lot of development is lack of infrastructure. One example that comes up over and over and over again is Harriman has recently decided not to proceed in certain applications to bring them online because they have water rights, but they don't have water tanks, and so they need tanks in order to store the water to be able to bring on about 7,500 additional units. And so what this bill does is, in Salt Lake County, it creates it bonds for $140 million that is grants that can be used within Salt Lake County. And then outside of that, there's statewide a $100 million loan fund that can be used for infrastructure, for drinking water, wastewater, sewer, stormwater, and drainage. And it has a provision in there to prioritize owner-occupied housing. So if you're applying for the grant, or if you're applying for the loan, and you're doing it for the purpose of owner-occupied housing, then your application goes up, is kind of the way that it works. Last one I'll hit on is taxation. This is a truth in taxation. We've talked about this a number of times, but it's morphed also quite a bit since we last spoke. So House Bill 236, this is about truth in taxation. So if a city wants to adopt a higher tax rate than what the prior bill said, that we had to basically have two budgets, the lower one without the tax increase and a higher one with the tax increase. Now, it just contemplates one budget with a higher amount, but that we would need to keep funds separate. In other words, we would need to segregate any additional funds for the additional amount that come in. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make the city, if you're going to approve a higher budget, they don't want you spending that higher budget until the truth in taxation process, which happens in August, actually takes place. And so the underlying concern is that how it's been done in the past, people are coming up and saying, hey, I've got this, I don't want you to do this tax increase, but we've already have been spending the money. In our case, from July 1 till about mid-August when we have the hearing. So it would make the cities keep those funds separate, so that that when people come for a truth in taxation hearing, we're not living as if though we were on a budget, as if though we already had that money. And additionally, it would provide, there's a provision in there that would have a kind of a one-page, well, sorry, it doesn't have to be one page, but a notice that explains the difference between what is the what is the underlying without the tax increase, and then what does the tax increase do, and specifically what problems would that tax increase solve. And so we would need to prepare that so that every time that we had a meeting that talked about the budget, between the time that either the budget officer, or in our case the mayor's budget, comes out until one is eventually passed, we need to bring that out and make that available to people. All right, I will stop there, even though I could go on quite a bit longer. But as always, if there's any questions, please don't feel free to reach out, and we will talk more.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Circling back to general citizen comment. I have 2 cards in the room. Daniel, come on down.
I'll be brief. Daniel Kovac, 1364 East, 11205 South in Sandy. Here with a couple scouts, my son Jackson, my daughter Maisie, and Ben from Troop 411 in Sandy. Usually here in a different capacity, so I don't get to speak. So I'm taking this opportunity very briefly. Amphitheater. I love that we're doing this through a revenue sharing model. I think that as residents, we've been bonded out the butt. We're done being bonded, not just city, but county, school districts. So to hear that we're doing that through a revenue sharing agreement is very exciting. Going forward, I love Mr. Marsh's presentation. I love what he's considering, kind of taking us to that next echelon. However, I implore that we don't forget the events that take place there that make this special, the movie nights, the free concerts, the patriotic stuff. My wife and I attended our personal favorites, Pat Benatar, Bruce Hornsby, those very inexpensive things that make you sit in those grass seats and look around and say, holy cow, I live here, this is available to me. They are moderately priced, and they make the community buy into something that is special and say that this is my Sandy, this is where I live, these are the priorities that me and my council and my mayor and my community have set. So as we're thinking about echeloning up, let's also consider those moderately priced items and what we are bringing to those citizens who might not be going to OAR or Death Cab, but are considering those items that are like, wow, you know, I'll skip coffee for a few weeks and I'll go to these things because we can't afford the Mammoth, we can't afford the Jazz, we can't afford the Bees at this point. So those items here right in our community are very, very important. They make us feel connected, they make us feel important, and they make us feel proud to be here. And then we go tell our friends, and they tell their friends, and we're like, wow, Sandy's a pretty awesome place. So as we're thinking about echeloning up, let's consider and remind ourselves that those are the kind of events that make Sandy a special place to be and a special place to live. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Nick.
Hi. I get to actually talk to you as somebody else other than you're asking for my computer help.
Can we do that too?
Yeah. I am here representing the Salt Lake Off-Road Expo. I volunteer with them, and I have for the last 11 years. I want to invite all of you to the expo. We are big land advocates. We partner. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Blue Ribbon Coalition. They're one of our biggest partners. And we advocate for keeping land open and keeping land clean and usable. This last weekend, we for our first annual cleanup at 5 Mile Pass, we went out to 5 Mile Pass and cleaned up 2 large dumpsters full of debris and garbage, and in addition to that, another 63 tires that we pulled out of there. Another thing that we were starting an annual tradition of this year is what we're calling the Sparks program, and it is highlighting new and innovative products into the off-road and outdoor industry. And we're going to be presenting them with awards and a showcase. And there's exciting things. And I have a little flyer for you guys. I'll give to Dustin, but I wanted to invite all of you out and hope to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you. And Dustin, I don't have any more blue cards. Can you invite anyone online who'd like to make a comment to do so?
Happy to, Madam Chair. And I'll just say I'm going to take the opportunity to express major appreciation to Nick. The meetings would not happen without Nick. He's so great. Best IT professional I've ever worked with. And I think everybody, all of you guys probably agree with me on that. So I had to take that opportunity. Yes, if you are joining us virtually and you'd like to comment on any city business, just go ahead and click the raise hand button on your screen now, and I'll call your name in the order in which you raised your hand, and you'll have 3 minutes. Not seeing any hands raised, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. We'll close general citizen comment, and that closes our agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? No. Thanks. Good night, everyone. Thank you.